I've been paying attention here lately to a lot of the various written subjects on the matter, as well as on YouTube and social media and some other places, about how songwriters today are getting royally screwed. I mean, just royally screwed. They're not getting any money, hardly anything from streaming whatsoever. Traditionally, a songwriter's revenue has come from the amount of plays, the amount of sales of an album. Typically, they would get points associated with that. So the greater investment is write a great song. If it turns out being massively popular, then you're going to make a decent living. And you could make a decent living doing that. Having never actually been an artist, you can make it as a songwriter. We've had songwriters around from all genres of music, really since music began. If you go back mainly the 50s and 60s, many, if not most of the music we heard, especially on the pop side of things, were written by other people for those artists. It wasn't until the Beatles really came along and the Stones and all of those guys who wrote their own songs, that really changed the whole trajectory of it and kind of shook that whole business model up, which it needed to happen. And so, but we've always had songwriters. When you think of country music, you think of pop music, you think of Nashville, you think of LA. There are people who have been professional songwriters their whole careers and have made a decent living doing that. But today, that's almost impossible. When you look at what happened with the most recent strike of the actors union, when you get into the whole streaming part and hardly getting any cut of any existing series from back in the day, which when it was on TV and things like that, they got a percentage of that. Well, today they get next to nothing. And then you've got the whole artificial intelligence where they're basically ripping these people off by taking their likeness, and they can actually put them in a movie and never pay a dime. I don't see how that's good for any of us, both as a creator or as a consumer. I just don't see that being a good option. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it personally. It really is disturbing to the degree of what's happening within the industry, because you've always got these money-grabbing little whores back there that are going to suck the living penny out of every potential artist, whether it's an actor, whether it's a musician, whether it's a songwriter, no matter what it may be, there's always going to be the leeches out there that somehow think they have a right to royally screw you, which is what they've perpetually been doing forever. Before, back in the day, it was the artists themselves who could sell 1 billion albums, I'm exaggerating, and hardly make any money off the album sales unless they were the songwriter. The member in that band, if they happen to be the songwriter, they're the ones that made the money. The rest of the guys in the band or girls in the band didn't make that much money. You had to make it from touring. Well, today, if you're an artist, pretty much the only way you make your money is from touring, which is why, touring prices have gotten so insanely freaking ridiculous. And so I think when we put this into perspective, this is not a good sign. And I almost want to say all the songwriters need to go on strike. They just need to go on strike and say, you're not getting any more songs from us until you figure out a way to get us compensated more fairly, because they're not making any money off any of the streaming. I mean, next to nothing. They're lucky if they can go to McDonald's 4 times in a month for the money they're making off songs that are literally some of the most popular songs in the world, and they're getting next to nothing. That's not right. It's just not right fair. What's the motivation? What in the world is the motivation other than self-satisfaction, knowing that you wrote a song that became very popular and you feel good about it? Nothing wrong with that if that is your motivation. But if you're a professional songwriter, you're trying to make a living using your talent and your skills that other people simply just don't have. Something's got to come to a head sooner or later. I'd love to tell you I know what the answer is, but as a realist, I know that if all the songwriters today went on strike, even the best of them went on strike and refused to release another song. Of course, you could continue writing, but refused to release another song until we got the compensation worked out. The reality is there would be a ton more people to step in and fill the void. And would we get songs for these artists to play for those that don't write their own material? Yes, we would. Would we start to see a decline in the quality of songwriting? Most likely, probably. Will there be some jewels that come and slip through, and people who maybe we wouldn't have ordinarily got a chance to hear their songs because of how hard it's been traditionally to break into that market, i.e. kind of cross the picket line kind of thing? Yes, we were going to get that. But overall, globally, I just don't see it. I don't see it. What's fair is fair. And all these money-grabbing leeches that have always been associated with the music industry, they're going to find a way to get you, man. They're going to find a way to get you one way or another, okay? They may be a different name, a different type of business or whatever, whether that be Apple, Amazon, Spotify, all these others today, which are screwing everyone over so badly. Yes, it might be those guys, whereas before it was the record companies that were screwing people over. And then, of course, you've got the management companies and things like that. I mean, artists have been screwed over, whether you're the performing artist or whether you're the writer of that art. You've been screwed over royally from the beginning of time, and it's just not right, and something needs to be done about it. No matter what relationship that is, there's always people going to screw it to the people if they can and suck the living life out of them. So I wish I had the answer. I wish I had the answer to solve this problem, but I don't. But until all of us start really screaming from the rooftops that something has got to change, you know what's likely to not happen? We're not likely to see change. And so it's only going to get worse unless some people find a way to fight it, find a creative way to fight it, and freaking win. And so that's my 2 cents on this particular subject. If you like things I talk about it, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, leave me some comments down below. Tell me what your thoughts are on this whole process. But until next time, hope every one of you have a great day as best you can. Bye-bye.